Yo, what's up everybody? So this is going to be a video about the Vasil hard fork and what I think could potentially happen. So the main reason for bringing this up is that most times that Cardano has one of these large upgrades, it does increase in price leading up to the upgrade. Another really important factor though is that in the past, ADA has rallied leading up to these upgrades, but it has underperformed following the upgrade. So I'm going to be using Seeking Alpha here just as a reference and just kind of a placekeeper so we can go through some of the ideas and some of the things that people are talking about. So the article kind of starts off saying, the Vasil hard fork is expected to improve the network in terms of speed and scalability significantly, and this brings Cardano one step closer to dethroning Ethereum. Now, I just wanted to kind of touch on this because I don't think that Cardano is going to dethrone Ethereum anytime soon. Yes, I do think it might happen at some point, but I don't think within the next 2 to 3 years even that's going to happen. So just to look at their market caps, you have Ethereum at $216 billion, and if you look at Cardano's, you have a $21.7 billion. So that's roughly a 10x is what Cardano would need, while Ethereum not growing at all, to catch up. And obviously as Ethereum goes up, Cardano's going to go up, and as Cardano goes up, Ethereum's eventually going to go up, maybe not necessarily month to month, but the overall market. So this 10x is going to be even greater of a number that Cardano's going to need to reach before it can surpass Ethereum. So now there's a few things to note here on this next paragraph. It says the Vasil hard fork is expected to go live on the 29th of June, but is already up and running on Cardano's testnet. With the previous hard fork Alonzo, Cardano implemented smart contract capabilities, enabling developers to build dApps. With this latest upgrade, Cardano's developers hope to improve the efficiency of smart contracts to make Cardano cheaper and faster to use. So the first thing that I thought about reading this is, okay, June 29th, this is when the Vasil hard fork is going to come out. If I did want to do a play and buy right now, the time looking to sell out of this play would probably be June 27th or June 28th. As always, none of this is financial advice, but if we do go off of history, it has run up every single time. We are in a bear market though, which we have never had an upgrade happen during a bear market, so we don't know exactly what to expect. But if we're going to play it just like all the other upgrades, you would want to sell out right before the upgrade happens. What makes this a little bit more difficult than a normal run up though is that we are in a bear market, and I do think that Cardano is extremely oversold. So to figure out where we could potentially see Cardano during this bull run if it does happen is just by looking at resistance levels. So one of the easiest resistance levels is $1. It's a good whole round number. People love round numbers, and you can see that it's also being used as resistance going all the way back to last year in June and September. The next area for resistance I think would be a local top. So one of our most recent tops would be right here around 1.25, and if it breaks that, then you'd have to go back to another local top, which looks like it'd be around 160-ish. But I wouldn't expect Cardano to go on anything crazy like $2, $3. It absolutely could, but during this bear market, I would not bet on that. So I know what probably a few of you are thinking, and you're thinking, this is crypto. Why are we talking about a 2x here? Well, this is just a 1 month time frame. I'm not talking about the grand scale of Cardano. I know everybody wants to make the bag, quit their job, whatever it may be. You want to live your life. I get it. I want to do the same. But in my opinion, this is simply a potential play. Not financial advice, but if we do go off of history, this could be a potential play. Now, I will go back into more detail about the hard fork and everything, but I wanted to touch a little bit about my ideas with this play because it is very interesting, especially for people who believe in Cardano long term. So what makes this pretty difficult is that we are at extreme lows right now, and this may be the best time that we ever have to get into Cardano at this price. So selling for a 2x right now may not be a great idea. However, it could come back down after this hard fork like we've seen many other times. So a balanced strategy that I've been thinking about is, let's say you want to hold 2,000 Cardano long term. Well, you may want to buy 4,000 Cardano, and this is the same strategy as NFTs. Let's say I want to hold 2 ape societies. Well, then I should have minted 4 so that I can sell 2, get my initial investment back, and be able to hold the others. Now, if you're wrong, you're a little bit over leveraged with this strategy, so it's not perfect. But if you do want to hold Cardano long term and you do want to get in at these prices, you may want to buy more so that when you do sell, at least you can still continue to hold. So there's of course the other strategy of just buying and holding forever. That is an easy strategy. Everybody does it, and I think it's really smart to do. This is just another strategy that I'm thinking about for a short-term play. We are in a bear market, so we may see a run-up followed by a harder crash. We just don't know yet. But now I'm going to get back to the article and touch on the last statement, which was they are looking to make Cardano cheaper and faster to use. So this explains how they're going to do that, and it says when developing an app on Cardano, the code must be written using Haskell. The code is then converted into something that Cardano's virtual machine machine can read, which we generally refer to as Plutus. Now the problem is that Plutus scripts do not live on the blockchain. Instead, the script must be uploaded to the blockchain every time a transaction is made, which means more data is carried in every block, which results in slower performance and higher expense. Thanks to CIP33, this process is made much simpler due to reference scripts. As the name implies, reference scripts act in place of the script they want to use. Reference scripts can be attached to outputs so they can be a part of the blockchain. With these implementations, transactions simply point to a reference script rather than having to include the entire script. And it says, in short, this means transactions carry less data and are therefore smaller, quicker, and cheaper. And I know what most people are probably thinking now too, and that's that Cardano doesn't need to be cheaper. And you're right, at this very moment, Cardano really doesn't need to be cheaper if you're comparing it to the rest of the blockchains. However, when Cardano does get bigger and Cardano is then $5 a piece, 1 to 2 ADA per transaction is going to be $5 to $10. Also, if you've ever tried to send let's say 5 or 10 NFTs from one wallet to another, it costs like 4 to 5 ADA, and that would be $20 to $25, which then we're talking about some substantial numbers. There's also these reference inputs. Similarly, Cardano will now introduce reference inputs. Thanks to these, we will now be able to access information without the need to spend it in a transaction. A reference input points to the data but doesn't need data to be spent every time it is used. The problem here is that simply looking at data requires spending, which is processing and using, which means more power is needed. Often the data has to be recreated since our intention was only to look at it all along. Reference inputs will solve this because now you can simply look at the reference input without using the actual data. And then the last CIP that they find very important is CIP32, which is inline datums. Lastly, CIP32 basically allows data to be stored on chain. With CIP32, a datum can now be stored in an output, which can then be read by another application easily. With this move, Cardano aims to expand its ecosystem further and make it more holistic. Although there are negatives to storing too much data in transactions, there are certain situations where this will be useful. So now we can see a chart right here that they've provided with us, which shows the other upgrades and what happened before and after. So right here, these blue lines represent when it came out. So Shelly was released right here, and you can see the following month or 2 months beforehand, it ran up and then it fell down, and then it kind of stabilized and then ran up leading into Mary, which then stabilized and ran up leading into Alonzo, which then we've been in this bear market ever since. But this is definitely not an Alonzo fault here or any sort of sell the news. This is just a bear market. Also, just to look at some CNFT data, we have been seeing a large increase in volume most recently, and I think this is majority due to Cornucopias. So it's incredible to see Cornucopias up here with their largest plots being the Copious plots, and 3 of them have sold for around 40 to 55,000 ADA. The cheapest Copious Mythic right now is worth 429,000 ADA. Now I'm sure nobody's going to pay that price, but it just shows that nobody's willing to sell these for any reasonable amount because they know what they have. So I just wanted to take some time to look at the overall trend of all the volume going into CNFTs at the moment, and on OpenCNFT.io we can see this chart right here. And we actually peaked at, let's see what the peak was, 3.68 million ADA on one day. That is our all-time high. The reason that I love to look at these charts is because we can actually see the popularity of this blockchain despite whatever market cap that we may be at. So I'm actually really excited about this because the last time that we had a really strong run-up in January where we saw a bunch of new users come in, we saw the network get really heavily congested and then people got frustrated and left. Now, if we can get more people to join us and not get frustrated and not leave and have the transaction speeds be just as fast or quicker or whatever it may be, then I think that's a huge win for Cardano. That's everything that I wanted to cover in this video, guys. I really appreciate you for watching. If any of this content helped you, please give me a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And remember to get outside, see your family, see your friends. We're here to make more money so we can spend more time with them. Till next time, guys, peace.
I get it like a G, but it never came easy. You got me coughing up a lung, I wish I rap like Wheezy. I keep my pace, so I'm sorry that I'm breezy. Keep my sneaks laced, cause I can't afford Yeezys. I don't want the gold, give me BTC. Y'all be acting crazy.